please note the word paripritchasi. We'll come back to this word, paripritchasi. Okay? Next word. Next verse, text 40. Itihasam imam punyam chitraketor mahatmanah mahatmyam vishnu bhaktanam shrutva bandhad vimuchyate. Note three words here. Vishnu Bhakta, Mahatmanaha and Punyam. These three words, most of you understand Sanskrit and Hindi to some extent, so we'll go with this for some time. And then the last verse for today. Yetat pratar utthaya Shraddhaya Vagyatah Patet Itihasam Harim Smritva Sayati Paramam Gatim. Again here, there are some words that I'd like you to recollect. Smritva, Harim Smritva, remembering Hari. Pratar Utthaya, waking up in the morning. So we'll go back to the verses one by one. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So verse number 39, I'll recite the verse once more and then the translation. Etatte sarva makhyatam yatmam tvam paripritchasi vritrasya asurajatescha karanam bhagavanmate. My dear King Parikshit, you inquired from me how Vritrasura, a great devotee, took birth in a demoniac family. Thus I have tried to explain to you everything about this. Itihasamimam punyam chitraketor mahatmanah mahatmyam vishnu bhaktanam shrutva bandhad vimuchyate. Chitraketu was a great devotee, Mahatma. If one hears this history of Chitraketu from a pure devotee, the listener also is freed from the conditional life of material existence. Purport or commentary by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. The historical incidents in the Puranas, such as the history of Chitraketu explained in the Bhagavata Purana, are sometimes misunderstood by outsiders or non-devotees. Therefore, Shukadev Goswami advised that the history of Chitraketu be heard from a devotee. Anything about devotional service or the characteristics of the Lord and His devotees must be heard from a devotee, not from a professional reciter. This is advised herein. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Secretary also advised that one learn the history of Srimad Bhagavatam from a devotee. Yatha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavera Sthane. One should not hear the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam from professional reciters, or else they will not be effective. Quoting from Padma Purana, Sri Sanatana Goswami has strictly forbidden us to hear about the activities of the Lord and His devotees from the mouths of non-devotees. Avaishnava mukodgirinam putam harikathamridam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpochishtam yathapayah. One should not hear anything about Krishna from a non-Vaishnava. Milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. Similarly, talks about Krishna given by a non-Vaishnava are also poisonous. One must be a bona fide devotee, and then he can preach and impress devotional service upon his listeners. Text 41. Ye etat prataruthaya shraddhaya vagyatah patet itihasam harim smritva sayati paramam gatim. One who rises from bed early in the morning and recites this history of Chitraketu, controlling his words and mind and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will return home back to Godhead without difficulty. So let's dive into it, but first let's pray unto those acharyas who would help us to understand what Srila Prabhupada is giving us here. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. We are here towards the end of this 17th chapter. Almost, I think, from the 7th chapter onwards, we were hearing about the pastimes of Chitraketu and Vritrasura. In coming to the content for this discussion this morning, I could have chosen two paths. One is, as given in the translation here, the history of Chitraketu is very nice to hear. It is very purifying. It is punyam. We could have spent time to recap this entire history because it took several months to come to this stage. I could have chosen that path. Or there is another very dominant theme here that yes, this is punyam. It is very purifying to hear about Chitraketu, but it should be heard from the mouth of a Vishnu Bhakta, a devotee of Lord Vishnu. That's very clearly mentioned. I'm sorry, the mala is very heavy. I don't mean to disrespect it. So, I would like to focus on the latter part. But before coming further to this latter part of Vishnu Bhakta, a little about the purity or the punya of this Chitraketu Katha. Bhagavatam is structured in a very interesting manner. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it ends with Parikshit Maharaj meeting Shukadev Goswami. Many things are discussed in the first canto. There's a story of Bhishma Dev, there's something about Kunti Devi, there's a story of Ashwathama, Parikshit's birth. There's a story of Narada Muni and Vyasadev. Everything is discussed. But you have to pay attention to where each canto of Bhagavatam ends. The first canto of Bhagavatam ends at Parikshit Maharaj questioning Shukadev Goswami. Why? He is cursed. He is cursed to die, and then he is thinking, what is the best thing for everybody in this world? This is what is called as an inflection point. How many of you have studied calculus in your 11th standard, 12th standard, PUC or something like that? A good number of you have studied. There's something called inflection point. There's a maxima, there is a minima, something like that. Some of you will realize maxima dy by dx equal to 0, d square y by dx square is negative, all those things you might recognize. What's happening here is, those who come to the point of Parikshit Maharaj being cursed by the son of a sage will think, for such a small thing this person was cursed. How can God allow such things to happen? The moment somebody has a question and thinks that this God is an unjust God, they will most likely close the Bhagavatam and stop it then and there. The one who has the faith to go beyond gets into the second canto. Likewise, in each canto you have those particular points of how to go next as such. Right now we are in the 6th canto. At the end of the 5th canto, there was a lot of description, or towards the end of the 5th canto, there's a lot of description about hellish planets. Again, somebody who has a question on how can God allow suffering, he will close it. But somebody who can allow that, who feels that there can be a way out, they will enter into 6th canto and they will get into the pastimes of Ajamila. And the pastime of Ajamila is that You come as you are. You could have done anything wrong, but the holy name can be your savior. And right now we are at the end of the 6th canto. And in the end of the 6th canto, this particular pastime of Chitraketu and Vritrasura is given, that here is a person who is a nice devotee of the Supreme Lord. And although being a nice devotee of the Supreme Lord, he was cursed. Very similar to what happened in the 1st canto. Why did this happen? And as we go through these chapters, it meant that even nice devotees have to learn some things. There is something called etiquette. That etiquette had to be learned. One can have intense attraction to the Supreme Lord, but that etiquette had to be learned. And one also has to learn that no matter how challenging the circumstance, no matter which body one gets, even the body of an asura, one can be in relationship with the Supreme Lord and still be happy. And one can have the body of a demigod like Indra, and yet one may not connect to the Supreme Lord. When that lesson is given, one gets into the 7th canto where the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj is there. He was born in the family of an asura. And now you can relate to it, that the ground, the fertile ground is laid there. How one can be absorbed like Vritrasura was absorbed, no matter what body one is in. And then one can learn higher lessons. That's how one gets into the 7th canto. And that is the punya. In other words, when you go to the 39th verse here, let me go back to the 39th verse. The word that I request you all to note is paripritchasi. When Parikshit Maharaj asked a question in the end of the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it was pritchasi or a prashna. A question was asked. When a reply is given and then again a question is asked, that becomes paripritchasi. So these are all this paripritchasi. A question based on a reply means that the listener is processing something. And the listener is also identifying with what is the message that the speaker wants, what is the quality of the speaker. He is identifying with it. That is very essential for us to move forward whenever we hear any message. Many times what we do, we listen to a lecture or we listen to, we may even read a book. We try to get points by which we can impress others. Hearing a lecture or hearing Bhagavatam or reading books to impress others is not the primary thing. Paripritchasi is very important. That is, what is the mood that the other person is carrying and how I can take it in and why that person is speaking about it. And why is it important? To know why it is important, we need to know that we are here in this material world because we are Bahir Mukha Jeev. We are not interested in Krishna. How do we get interested in Krishna? We get interested in Krishna only by getting interest in Krishna's devotees. If during the hearing of a Bhagavatam lecture, if instead of getting interested in the devotees of Krishna, if we are just trying to identify points, what are we achieving? We are only trying to achieve that I know something. I have an objective. Is my Bahir Mukha thing changing to looking at Gandharvika Giridhari? Probably not. We are just trying to inflate and inflame our false ego that I know so much. And therefore, this whole mood which Vyasadeva and Shukadev Goswami is appreciating is this paripritchasi behavior of Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, number 1. Next, the next verse says, Itihasam imam punyam Chitraketor Mahatmanaha. Chitraketu is a Mahatma because Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha. He has ashraya, his shelter is in the Daivi Prakriti. And that's why he's a Mahatma. But this Mahatma's, what you call Charitra, has to be heard from Vishnu Bhakta or a Vaishnava. Very explicitly said. It is not told some sadhu. It is not told some yogi. There is no confusion here. very clearly it is given Vishnu Bhakta. And that's what probably for the next 15-20 minutes I'd like to delve upon. Before entering fully into this Vishnu Bhakta, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that one should not hear from non-devotees. What happens when one hears from non-devotees? When one does hear from a non-devotee, again, each of these, the particular non-devotee may have various flavor. One, he or she may be speaking just to show their scholarship. Some of them may not have attraction to the Supreme Lord. Some of them may not even be speaking in accordance with the scriptures, and therefore we get contaminated. In Hari Bhakti Vilas and in other books, it is said that even a devotee should not be reading too many books. Why is it said so? Isn't it good that our acharyas have written so many books? We read all those books, try to understand what they say. Actually, the intention behind saying that a devotee should not read too many books is that our acharyas know that we have only so much finite time. When we try to read too many books, what do? We take a point from book 1, we take a point from book 2, we take a point from book 3, and we already have an idea in mind, and we stitch those points. We are not letting the book speak to us. We are making our ideas go through all these books. We'll give a lot of quotations. This book says that, that book says it. But what are we actually getting? The way we approach scripture is let Vyasadev, Shukadev Goswami, or whoever is the author of the book, let them speak to us. And that is why it is said, we go from one book to the another book sequentially. Because they have their message from beginning to the end. When we read multiple books, it is almost like I listen to 2 minutes of lecture 1, 5 minutes of lecture 2. This is how we are sampling it as such. Okay? So, when we let go of that mood, then we get into the mood of, let me hear from a Vaishnava. Now the question that comes up is, who is a Vaishnava? Is somebody who worships Vishnu? Is that what it is? Let us hear from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I hope you all will be able to see this. Are you all able to see the screen? Hopefully. Those who are sitting in the back, is the verse visible, Matajis? Okay. So, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Puri, every year the devotees from Bengal would come to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Rath Yatra time. And there was a village called the Kulina Gram. And Satyaraj Khan was one of the residents of Kulina Gram. He would come along with his big group of devotees. They had a particular service. They would make ropes made of silk. And with that silk ropes, they would pull the chariot of Jagannath. So they had this very nice service, and they also came to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the first year that Mahaprabhu came to Puri, that time when the devotees of Bengal came to Puri, that first year, Satyaraj Khan asked a question. These verses are very nice. I have put this on the PPT, not for you to see, but for you all to recite along with me. Okay, so I am going to recite one line. All of you also please recite after me. There are many, maybe 6-8 verses here. We'll recite one after the other. There are some Bengalis here, Prabhus. My Bengali is bad, so please correct me when I speak, when I recite the Bengali incorrectly. अगर मैं बंगाली में ठीक से नहीं बोलूँगा, तो आप कृपया मुझे करेक्ट कीजिए. हम सब ठीक से कैसे प्रोनाउंस करना है हम सीखेंगे. गृहस्था विषयी आमी की मोरा साधने श्रीमुखे आज्ञा कर प्रभु निवेदि चरणे Satyaraj Khan said, "My dear Lord, being a householder and a materialistic man, I do not know the process of advancing in spiritual life. I therefore submit myself unto your lotus feet and request you to give me orders. Nivedi charane, charane, at your charana, lotus feet, nivedana. That nivedana is happening. And he's asking Prabhu. He's calling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Prabhu. Okay. And he's saying, Grihastha Vishayi Ami. There are Vishayi Ami means there are so many Vishayas, subject matters. How much dal to buy, which car to buy, where to buy a plot, how much, which office to go, with how to change jobs. There are so many Vishayas for a Grihastha. Vishayi Ami, ki mora sadhane. For such a Grihastha, what is the sadhana that I have to do? See, the Bengali is so sweet here. Next verse. What does Mahaprabhu says? Prabhu kohe Krishna seva, Vaishnava seva na, Nirantara kore Krishna nama sankirtana. Prabhu kohe Krishna Nirantara kore Krishna nama sankirtana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, Nirantara, without cessation, continue chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna. Whenever possible, Vaishnava Seva, serve him and his devotees. Krishna Seva, Vaishnava Seva. Serve him and his devotees, the Vaishnavas. Then Satyaraj said, Satyaraja bole Vaishnav chini bake mone, ke Vaishnava kaha tara samanya lakshane. Ke mone, ke Vaishnava kaha tara samanya lakshane. Upon hearing this, Satyaraj said, Vaishnava chiniba, chinna, what are his marks? Ke mone, what are those? Ke Vaishnava kaha tara samanya lakshane. What are his samanya lakshana, general characteristics? Please know, let me know. Okay. Prabhu kohe yara mukhe shuni eka bara, Krishna nama se puja shreshta sabakara. Krishna nama se puja shreshta sabakara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, whoever chants the holy name of Krishna just once is worshipable and is the topmost human being. So what is Mahaprabhu's criterion for being a Vaishnava? Once, just once somebody chants the holy name, he is a devotee. Okay. Eka Krishna nama kore sarva papakshaya, Nava vidha bhakti purna nama hoite hoya. Sarva papakshaya nava vidhi bhakti purna nama hoite hoya. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna once, a person is relieved from all reactions of a sinful life. One can complete the 9 processes of devotional service, Nava vidha bhakti, just by doing one thing, chanting the holy name. That's it. Then, very interesting verse. Diksha purascharya vidhi apeksha na kore, jihva sparshe achandala sabhare udhare. Translation. One does not have to undergo initiation or execute the activities required before initiation. Diksha na kore, purascharya na kare. No diksha, no purascharya. What is purascharya? In the bottom I have, it's in a very smaller font. Purascharya means morning, afternoon and evening one should worship the deity, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, offer oblations, perform fire sacrifice, feed brahmanas. These 5 activities constitute purascharya. Okay. One simply has to vibrate the holy name with his lips. Thus, even a man in the lowest class, Chandala, can be delivered. And then Mahaprabhu says, Ateva Yandra Mukhe Eka Krishna Nama Seta Vaishnava Korihatahar Samman. Ateva Yandra Mukhe Eka Krishna Nama Seta Vaishnava. So, Mahaprabhu concludes this portion here saying, just chant once Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is sufficient as such for him. Right? Then, if I go to this previous verse, if you go to the purport by Srila Prabhupada, Mahaprabhu is saying one need not undergo initiation. And you read the entire purport to that verse, Prabhupada is only saying the importance of Diksha. Mahaprabhu is saying one thing, Prabhupada is saying something else. Why is it so? It's because as we go through these verses, we will get to know Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about Vaishnava, Vaishnavatara and Vaishnavatama. Srila Prabhupada is preparing us for Vaishnavatama, the Uttama Vaishnava. Vaishnavatara is superior, highest is Uttama, the Vaishnavatama. That is what Srila Prabhupada is preparing us for. And Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport that generally the chanting of the holy name is sufficient. But most often what happens is this Purascharya, people do not come from a proper family. I am going to elaborate on that a little while later. Most of us do not have a good family background. Why? Because we are all Kali Yuga products. The moment we are Kali Yuga products, it means there is something wrong overall in us. That is why we are born in Kali Yuga. We will not be refined individuals, and that is why we are here. To refine us is where Purascharya comes into the picture. What is this Purascharya? At certain points in time during the day, we will have to do certain things. Then what happens? No matter where my mind goes, I will have to bring it back and say, this is what needs to be done. So the mind gets controlled a little bit. And to do these activities, one cannot be angry at somebody, one cannot speak harshly at somebody. It doesn't work that way. And therefore, these Purascharya helps to cleanse. So typically, when the word Diksha is given, either in Chaitanya Charitamrita or in verses prior to that, it means what we in Iskcon commonly call as second initiation. And even the second initiation, it has two parts to it. Historically, until a particular point in time, second initiation included certain Gayatri mantras, which included the Kama Gayatri, the Guru Gayatri, and the Gaura Gayatri. It included that primarily. And when that is added with the Savitra Gayatri, which is what most of the people already know in the Indian population. Most of Indians do not know Kama Gayatri, Gaura Gayatri, etc. Most of us, Guru Gayatri, we don't know all those mantras. When it is added with the Savitra Gayatri, it becomes the Brahmana Diksha. So, the mantras which are the prior to the, at least like the Guru Gayatri, the Kama Gayatri, etc., these mantras are required for worship of the deities. And only with that, deity worship can be performed, and for that, certain qualities are required. That is what is coming about here. So, primarily, coming back to the point, somebody who chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra or any name of Krishna even once, it's sufficient. We have to respect such a person. We have to respect such a Vaishnava. We have to serve such a Vaishnava. That is what Mahaprabhu is saying. And especially somebody who is so purified that just by once chanting, he is able to get the highest benefit of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Such a person should be definitely respected. Okay. Now, what happened is, Satyaraj Khan took this instruction, and then they came back the second year to Puri. At that time, again, they asked the question. Let's read. Kulina grami purvavat kaila nivedana Prabhu Agna Koro Amar Kartavya Sadhana. So the Kulina Grami, the residents of Kulina Grama, Purvavat, like before, Koila Nivedana, they are requesting. What? Prabhu, O Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Agnya Karo, give me order. Amar Kartavya Sadhana. What sadhana is my duty? And what was Mahaprabhu's reply? Prabhu Kohe Vaishnav Seva Nama Sankirtana Dui Karo Shigra Pabe Shri Krishna Charana. Did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu change anything? That time also he said Vaishnava Seva. This time also same. He said serve Krishna. Now he told Nama Sankirtan. Serve Krishna by his holy name. Slight change. But then, now they ask, Satyaraj Khan asks the next question. Te hoka hai ke Vaishnav ki tara lakshana tabe hasi ko hai Prabhu jani taramana. Again he is asking the same thing. Ke Vaishnav. Previous year when he came, he asked Samanya. He says, I want to know about it. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has upped the ante, so to say, or he has increased the level now. Because the word Samanya has been removed, he told something more. Krishna nama nirantara yaharavadane se Vaishnava Shrestha bhajata harcharane. So, Prabhu, a good one. This word T-A-N-R-A, Tanra, how do you pronounce in Bengali? ये word है तारा, हाँ? ये जो word है, ये word, ये mouse जो है वो उसको तबे हंसी कहे प्रभु जानी तारा मना तारा तार mana. Okay, the N is silent. Okay, N is silent. Great. Okay. Tar mane. Okay. So the important thing here is the word nirantara. So now the Vaishnava Tarada, this such a person, that the Vaishnava who has to be seva, on whom we should worship, on whom we have to serve is Krishna Nama Nirantara. Right? Nirantara. And Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, he brings out some 5-6 meanings of the word Nirantara. What is this Nirantara? He takes the word Antara. And the word Antara, he says the first thing is interval. Normally, what we do, we have, if most of you are very good devotees, there is a time to chant. You all chant nicely. Then you hear something. Then you read something. Then you go in the mood of service to do whatever work. You may cook in the kitchen. You may mop your floor. You may go to office. You may do some sales. You may do it in the mood of being a devotee. But between two activities, there is an interval. In that interval is where typically Maya attacks. That interval, one Instagram something will come, one YouTube will come, or it is just, 1 hour 45 minutes, japa is done. Little relaxation, after doing japa for 1 hour 45 minutes, you will get a little sleep. So let me sleep, let me rest for a little. Mind was very focused. So there's a lot of tension in the mind. We have to relax a little, right? So all this in the interval, what happens is this Vaishnava Thara, he looks at these intervals and he doesn't waste these intervals. More important than wasting is he recognizes that this is where my attention can go away from Maya. So he minimizes these intervals as such. It is not what we do that is important, it is what is the consciousness behind what we are doing. You can be going to a gym and you can do something good for your health. That is not Maya. But thinking that I will go to the gym, I will get a good body, and then I am going to show how muscular I am. That is a problem. Rather, if it is, let me keep my body together so that even when I become old, I will still be able to serve devotees. That is good. It's the intention which matters, not just the activity. So that's the first thing, interval. Next is the body. Most of us use our body for enjoyment. We like to eat good things, etc. But this Vaishnavatara uses his body in the mood that may this body enrich me so that I have strength for Krishna, to do something for Krishna, to do something for other devotees. That's the other meaning of the word antara. One way in which you can see very elevated Vaishnavas on how they treat their body is when they eat prasadam and when they sleep. You can look at Srila Prabhupada when he was eating prasadam. He would sit quietly. Many times he would just face a wall. Most people don't like to face a wall. They like to see other people while eating prasadam. But Srila Prabhupada would sit facing a wall. And nobody could disturb him when he was eating prasadam. Because his mood was, Krishna has eaten this prasadam and I am honoring Krishna prasadam. I am not saying that you should face a wall, but all I am saying here is, many times we treat lunch time, dinner time as time for chatting. We use it as time to catch up with things, etc. Somewhere, sometime, somehow, the purpose that the thing that Krishna has tasted, this prasadam goes away. That's something we need to bring it back. And the other thing is when you see devotees lying down to take rest. For us, it is sometimes, we think about all the good things, etc. here. But when you look at a pure devotee lying down to take rests, it almost looks like they are here. I've seen some very Uttama Adhikaris lying down taking rest. They lie flat, their hands are here, in a prayerful mood and waiting. When I wake up tomorrow, I'm ready for service. It's like you see this huge, right now a statue, one day he'll become a deity, hopefully, of Hanuman. He's having Rama and Lakshmana on his shoulder. You look at other deities of Hanuman, he is like this. Kim Kara, what should I do? And when I see those devotees, it's almost Kim Kara, except that the hand is like this. And they say, it's so much in the mood, I just need to wake up to serve tomorrow. That's the mood that they have. That's the other word, antara. In other words, it means, nirantara means, do not want to take an interval to keep my body happy. Another meaning of the word antara is money. And Prabhupada writes, this devotee, this Vaishnava is nira antara. He is not interested in his financial security. Next, antara also means janata or people in general. And Prabhupada writes that such a person is not interested to cultivate a fan following. Instagram, 10 million followers. So keep checking how many people have given like to me. No follower business as such. Recently, we had the fortune of His Holiness Rompa Swami Maharaj coming here. And some devotee had a conversation with him, saying, but he was saying that, whenever we give lectures, how do we try to give lectures? Probably the audience has a very short memory span. They have a short attention span too. They remember very less and their attention is also less. Mostly what they hear in the beginning of the class, they don't know at the end. So we'll have to summarize what we told from the beginning to the end. Maharaj, so sometimes we follow the pattern that we tell a principle, then a story, then another principle, and then a story. And this is how I try to go about and some of the stories should be like having a feel good factor. And that's how I get the people's attention. Do you think this is right? I mean, this is what I think I should go with. And Maharaj's reply was, no. Focus on what is the inspiration that Prabhupada is giving and go with that. In other words, it is not a people-pleasing thing. It is not, a preacher doesn't address the mind of the audience. The preacher addresses the heart of the audience. Krishna is there. From inside the heart, Krishna has to cleanse and open the curtain a little bit and make that person see the light from the Paramatma. So a true Bhagavata addresses that point. And that's what we need to get connected to. So this is the Vaishnava who doesn't, he's not a people, nira antara, nira people pleasing as such. The other meaning of antara is greed. The true Vaishnava is not greedy. And finally comes atheistic ideas. This is where it connects to our today's verse that one should not hear from a non-devotee. Because when a non-devotee will effectively have some flavor of an atheistic idea, because he doesn't value Krishna as a theos, as a person who has feelings. Either he neglects the personality of the Supreme Lord, or he neglects that the Supreme Lord exists independently from the different jivas. Something like that. So that was the second year. And finally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they came back the third year. And in the third year, when they asked the same question, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yahar darshane mukhe aise Krishna nama tahar jani tumi Vaishnava pradhana. Yahar darshane mukhe aise Krishna nama tahar jani tumi Vaishnava pradhana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, a first class Vaishnava is he whose very presence makes others chant the holy name of Krishna. That is the first class Vaishnava. And such a Vaishnava is whom we have to serve. So my dear nice sadhus, my dear nice Vaishnavas, are you all that first class Vaishnavas? Probably yes. You all maybe. We should not discount it. We cannot discount it. So let's see here this particular chart. The first class Vaishnava is also called as an Uttama Adhikari. The second class in one sense is a Madhyama Adhikari. And the third class is Kanishta Adhikari. Okay. I'm sorry, maybe the font size may not be that big for all of you from behind. Normally we all have this confusion. Who is an Uttama Adhikari? We just heard that somebody from whom just by seeing him we begin to chant. He's a Uttama Adhikari. Like when recently when we had the association of His Holiness Indradimna Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, and also just this past week, His Holiness Rompad Maharaj. Many devotees, when they came and saw, they said, my chanting became better after I listened to his class. Something like that. Or I was struggling to chant. I had even stopped chanting my rounds. Now I feel I should chant. Somebody like that. That is the influence of the Uttama Adhikari. But when we look at the different Gaudiya Vaishnava books itself, each book has a different categorization of who is Uttama Adhikari, who is Madhyama, and who is Kanishta. Because they all look at it from a different lens. Sometimes it is about faith in scriptures. Sometimes it is about how much one is able to follow. It's different. For example, if we look at Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that is Nectar of Devotion, and whatever we were hearing now, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Sanatan Shiksha, anybody who is at the stage of Nishtha to Asakti, such a person is Uttamadhikari. So there is Adav Shraddha, Bhajana Kriya, Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivritti. Then we have Nishtha, then we have Ruchi, we have Asakti, then we have Bhava, then we have Prema. So Nishtha to Asakti is Uttamadhikari according to the nectar of devotion and one conversation in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But another conversation in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is what we discussed today, the conversation with the Kulina Gramavasi, Satyaraj Khan, and nectar of instruction, it is Bhava to Prema. So at the stage of Bhava, 75% of the anarthas should have gone. At least 75%. Nishtha one may have, Ruchi one may have, but Bhava 75% gone. Right? Likewise, we have different things of Madhyama and Kanishta. So let me just look at Kanishta. That is important for me, here at least. The Kanishta Adhikari, it is, if you look at all of them, it is from, at least it goes till the stage of Anartha Nivritti. So here is a very important question. You all may ask me, what did you hear just now? You should hear and serve a Vaishnava. Who is the ultimate Vaishnava? Uttama Vaishnava, somebody by whose, just by being in his association, we all begin to chant, or by hearing from him. You all can question me, are you that Uttama Vaishnava? I can honestly say, I am doing some Anartha Pravritti and trying to do a little Anartha Nivritti. That Krishna is doing Anartha Nivritti, I am doing probably Anartha Pravritti. And all the devotees here are helping me to do Anartha Nivritti. Without them, this Nivritti cannot happen. Then, like Satyaraj Khan, you all can do a Pariprashna. Why are you sitting here? Shouldn't you be sitting down? Why are you sitting here? On this seat, as such. Sitting here on this seat, for me, or for most devotees who are, I would say, Kanishtas, is on the order of Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada started the Bhagavatam class in the morning, his disciples, he did not expect them to be Uttamadhikaris, but he gave them a template for their protection. He said, I have given my books. You discuss only on the basis of what is given in my books. Even though you are a Kanishta, you will be protected. So, anybody who sits on this Vyasasan should always refer to what is there in the words of the other Acharyas. He will not give his or her own individual realizations. Because we are still work in progress. We are not at the Uttama level. In fact, the Vedic scriptures, if you look at all of them, they are all revelations by the Supreme Lord to different devotees. Why? They have become purified. And their revelation is coming to us. Whereas most of us who sit here have to carefully follow Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Either Shastra has to tell it, or a Sadhu who has already realized Krishna, from his realizations we have to give. Does it mean that we become a parrot? No. Anybody who is giving lectures shouldn't be a parrot. Just repeat verbatim, this point, that point. No. They should have the well-wishing of the audience and use their intelligence to identify what is it that I have heard is relevant for the audience. That filtering should be done by the speaker. And in that they have to give it to them. Now, so we heard all about who is a Vaishnava. But, I'm sorry, the title of this shouldn't be who is a Vaishnava. This should be, now coming to the, we heard about who is a Vaishnava. But what should be the qualification of the follower? Right? That is important because the follower of today becomes the Vaishnava of tomorrow. Gradually. And it doesn't become immediate, it's over a period of time. Do we have Navadip Sachi Mataji here? No. She should come here. Somebody please let me know if Navadip Sachi Mataji does come here, because we have to do the... Huh? She's not coming. Please let me know. I mean, Mataji, can you raise your hand when she comes if you get to know about it? Okay. So now, how to associate with a Vaishnava? This is a verse from what is called as the Yagnivalkya Dharma Smriti. Let's recite this verse. I'll recite a few words and you please follow me. Kritagnya adrohi medhavi Shuchikulyo anasuyakaha Adhyapya sadhu shakta apta swartadha dharmatha tu ime. Maybe the next 5 to 10 minutes, we'll just focus on this verse. If nobody becomes a devotee just like that. He becomes devotee by association and by training. What does the training mean? So this verse is from the Dharma Smriti, which says, what is the qualification of a person who should be accepted as a disciple? Okay, just to be accepted as a disciple, to whom one can teach, to whom this Vaishnava can teach and influence, that person. Who is that? The first thing is Kritagnya. That person should have Kritagnya. He should have gratitude. He should be grateful. Next is Adrohi. Droha means, what's the right word? Huh? Cheating, or I'm forgetting the word here. Sorry, I had it in mind. But Adrohi means not being inimical. So who as a disciple will become inimical? Sometimes we see that we may be very close to a devotee as such, and at some point in time they feel, why did this person speak this way? Why did they act in this way? There is something wrong in this individual. And they start thinking, I have to protect everybody against this person. Or this person is a bad influence, so I have to be inimical towards him. I mean, they don't try to be, they don't think it's to be inimical, but they start being inimical, thinking I have to protect them from others. That is one possibility. The other possibility is, how come you can tell me something like that? Or how come you can do something like that to me? I will also do something back. That's called the vengeful mentality. You did something for me, I will do 10 times worse. Maybe dikhata hu tumko main kya cheez hu. You know, I can show to you, I mean, you are not from the corporate world. I can show you what corporate backstabbing is. We try to showcase our greatness, right? But more often, when such things happen, we tend to label a person who is doing this as how bad he or she is. But look at what is really happening in the mind of such an individual. They are hurt. And they don't have proper role models. They do not have proper association. The root cause of all problems is that we have not seen a higher example. And when we don't see a higher example, we gravitate towards a lower example. That's it. So that's one thing which a candidate who should be trained shouldn't have. Next is, what he should he should be a Medhavi. He should be intelligent. Why? If a teacher keeps teaching, or a Vaishnava, he keeps giving, and the other person is not able to grasp it, it is a waste of his time. He is taking aside some time away from his the Vaishnava is taking his focus away from his focus on Krishna and his Guru's mission and training somebody. But the other recipient should be intelligent enough to capture it. Most of the time, we think Medhavi is somebody who can capture a lot of facts. But Medha is the fine tissues in our body by which we can grasp the finer things. So how does the Guru walk? How does the Guru talk? How does the Vaishnava behave? When does he behave this way? Why does he behave that way? Those are the important things. In other words, such a Medhavi is actually a sponge. He grabs everything that is coming to him. That quality should be there for us to associate with the senior Vaishnava. Next is Shuchi. One should be clean internally and externally. Next comes Kulyo. He should be from a very good family. The moment we hear this coming from a good family, suddenly the ears of all the devotees coming in Iskcon, suddenly they will turn up. Why? Hasn't Srila Prabhupada taught us that you can come from any family, you can come from any background, and you can chant the holy name? Yes, very true. But what this Kulyo is saying here is that a person, when he comes from a good family, then he will not retaliate when something is being told. So such a person is very good to finally be trained by an acharya. The role of all the devotees here is to prepare a student to go to the acharya. When we start our devotional life, we are not this kulyo. But by the time we become a disciple, we have to become kulyo. That is what various, like your Bhakti Vriksha leader, your circle servant, or whoever else is doing, they take us who do not have these good qualities to come to that stage. If you recollect the previous verse we talked about, Dikshacha Purascharya. What that Purascharya is what the association of devotees teaches us. They cleanse us of all the things that we don't, I mean the dust, the filth that we have, and add good qualities to us so that they can present us in front of the Supreme Lord, in front of the Acharya. Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami, when he was going in the traveling Sankirtan party, he would go preach along with Vishnuchan Maharaj. They would go in a bus, and this was in the 70s, and the people whom he would speak to would be the ones who would be drug addicts, who would be guitar playing folks. They just were there to enjoy the holy name, mantra, and things like that. They liked all of that, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj fanned it. Oh, you like the mantra? Come with me. Let's go jamming. So Vishnuchan Maharaj would go jamming with them. Tamal Krishna Maharaj would come and say, you jam, but you should also chant. So they used to be like the good cop, bad cop kind of a thing. They used to do all of that. And finally, by associating with the seriousness of Tamal Krishna Maharaj, they all became nice devotees. And then when Prabhupada would come to a particular place, Tamal Krishna Maharaj would come and introduce all of them and say, Prabhupada, this is Bhakta Bob, this is Bhakta Bill, this is Bhakta so-and-so, Bhaktin so-and-so. And for Tamal Krishna Maharaj, his mood of offering was, this is a bouquet of flowers that I am offering, a bouquet of devotees that I am actually offering to Srila Prabhupada. Instead of a physical bouquet of flowers, he would offer a bouquet of devotees. And how it did happen? You can take a bouquet of flowers which are in their bud stage. Tamal Krishna Maharaj saw them as they are all in the bud stage. He made them come to a flower and offered it to his Guru. That is the role of those devotees who have received something from others that make other kulyo, effectively be from a good family. Because when we get into the association of the devotees, we become part of their family. We have to get their traits, and that is how we become kulyo. We let go of all the family traits of the past, and we come to the family of devotees. That's how it is. Next is Anasuyakaha. Okay, Mataji is here. I will conclude in 5 minutes. Anasuyaka is somebody who is free from envy. It's a very important point that envy is the first thing that comes into this material world. Envy is the last thing that goes out when we have to be cleansed. So nobody is typically free from envy. At least one should have diminished envy. That is what this means. The modern world is a complicated world. It is complicated in that wives compete with husbands, husbands compete with wives, children compete with parents. Everybody is competing. Why? To prove I am greater than this, greater than the other person. A non-envious, it's given the 10th canto. The entry to Vaikuntha can only come when a person is in the non-envious stage. To become non-envious, one has to be happy with the achievements of others. Just like if you look at a mother is so happy when the child achieves something. Ye mera hai, ye mera beta aisa kar raha hai, right? Something like that. So there is that mamatva, the mamata or the mamatva is present. That same mamatva should go away from me, my son, my daughter to this devotee in my congregation. It should encompass, we should increase that circle. And then when we say, so nice that you have it, it becomes a great thing. Like many of you, or not many of you, maybe some of you attend a seminar again the past week on the Ramayana. In Maharaj, who was sitting in the class, he was praising the devotee who did the PPT. Some devotee did some nice images, etc. He had nothing, no qualms to openly say, somebody did this PPT for me. Normally we think, if I do something, everybody should know I put so much effort. I might take this from Chaitanya Charitamrita or anywhere, but I very rarely will tell Prabhupada did this. Look at how I understood this verse. Prabhupada might have given it, but my understanding on top of it is what you all have to appreciate. That is what sometimes we may have. Rather than making Prabhupada shine through the purports, we want to make our intelligence shine through what we try to speak. But that is not how a sadhu is, because a sadhu is anasuyaka. He wants others to shine. And such a sadhu, he also has to see if the person to whom he is giving is shakta. Is he competent enough? And most importantly, comes as apta, whether is very affectionate. All these qualities may be there, but when affection is missing between the giver and the receiver cannot receive it. The giver will give affection to the extent swartada. There is normally swartha typically means selfishness, but actually here swa arthadha is the recipient gives something of value back. There are relationships which is the needy relationship. You give me, you give me, you give me. They just keep asking and asking and asking. But relationships thrive when a person starts to give. The more a person says, Prabhu, I need love from you. I need you to do something for me. Only then I can give you back. What does that mean? It means most of you here are adults. Very few are children. I see some are 12-year, 14-year-old. But most of you are adults. A child is always in the mode, give me, give me, give me. The child is at the center of the world. And as a child moves from the age of 12 to 18, 20, 30, etc., they learn to give first to their friends. Then afterwards, they learn to give probably to the teachers also. Then they learn to give something to a spouse. Then they have their own children, they learn to give. It is at that point they realize, oh, this is what my teacher gave. This is what my parents gave. Most people don't realize what they're receiving until they take responsibility. So that is why we are being taught, you take responsibility of somebody. Not that the institution has to grow, not that the movement has to grow, but our heart has to open up for that purpose. So this affectionate grows by this dadati pratigrihnadi principle. That is, the swarthada is the language that is used. And this is the key thing here, that one has to learn to be affectionate. And the thing here is, when one comes from a nice family, especially mothers have a very big role in this. When the mother loves the child unconditionally, the child feels so full that they don't go to the world looking for affection. Somehow when this is cut, then even though in an adult body, people are just looking at affection. And as a result, they are unable to make meaningful relationships. Can you give me something? Can you give me something? In other words, when a sadhu comes, we bring down the sadhu to our level. My level is, I want you to show affection to me. How? Did you glance at me? Did you give me a flower? Did you give me some prasadam? Did you speak something nice about me? This is how we bring somebody at a higher level to a lower level. In fact, how should we see a sadhu? We should see a sadhu that easy through his words or through his action, cutting the illusion in my heart that I have to enjoy this world and only then I'll be happy. That is what we are here to receive from the sadhu. Instead, we are here to have all these personal exchanges as such.
And Father.
Okay. And it's good, sometimes sadhus do it. They recognize our condition, but we should not be stuck at that level. We have to rise to a higher level. And a sadhu is here to show to us this is what attachment to Krishna is like. Because when the sadhus speak, they just speak about how nice my spiritual master is speaking, how nice Krishna is speaking. They are relishing katha, and that relishing of katha is giving a role model for us, right? That role model is what we have to take for our own selves, rather than saying he looked at me, he didn't look at me, etc. We have to rise, but for that to rise, we should have some affection. We might not have had the best of childhood. That is true. That is okay. But sometimes we need to have relationships other than a guru relationship. There is a spouse, there is a wife, there is a friend. Be open to have relationships outside of it. They all could have different degrees of Krishna consciousness. It is not necessary to see every relationship as a guru-disciple. That I am a guru and you are a disciple. No. Sometimes I need some equals like friends. Be open to cherish something commonly. It could sometimes start with as simple as we both like Virat Kohli. We both like something about, say, Narendra Modi too. But gradually it has to transform to something spiritual. That's okay. We start where we are. But friendship is required. Common interests are there for friendship. We need something from spouse where unconditional. You can speak what you want and you're not judged. The spouses do that, friends do that. And then you can have a bigger set of relationship. In other words, a secure relationship with friends, spouses, help us to see a Vaishnava properly. But that has to be coupled with hearing Shastra, it has to be coupled with reading scriptures and spending time with them. Then we can associate with the Vaishnava when they come, and then our heart gets purified. I'll pause here. Any comments, any thoughts or questions? Rajanath, Varadaraj Prabhu, and Ketan. Maybe we'll start with Ketan first. You want this microphone? Or, okay.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Classify that this is the Vaishnava.
So the question for the benefit of whoever may be hearing online also is, Mahaprabhu said somebody who chants the name of Krishna even once is a Vaishnava. We have to do the sevana of that seva or the service to such a Vaishnava. Such persons could be sahajiyas too. They could not be good devotees too. How do we understand it? And later Mahaprabhu says something more. So Srila Prabhupada in his purport does clarify that to some extent. He says, the first and foremost thing here is, when somebody has chanted the name of Krishna, it means Krishna Kripa has come into their life. What do we give respect when we do seva to that person? What do we give respect to? That somebody who had Krishna Shakti influenced this person to have this Krishna Kripa. The person having Krishna Shakti gave Krishna Kripa. This person at least has received it. We do seva to, actually, there is that Krishna, when we do seva to this person, we are honoring the person who had Krishna Shakti. That Krishna Shakti, we are honoring him, and we are also recognizing your heart was open for having Krishna Kripa. So we are honoring Krishna Shakti and Krishna Kripa. That is one thing. But that depending on the sahajiya or whoever he is, we will give our respects differently. In fact, Srila Prabhupada had said, even if the person is an impersonalist, because he is accepting the Vedas, because even the impersonalist, the Vedic impersonalist is still chanting the name of Narayana, you pay obeisance from far. Because that Krishna Shakti, Krishna Kripa is there to some extent. That is how we see. The more a person is aligned to scriptures, we even take into our heart what they say. So that discrimination has to be done, Prabhu. Okay, thank you. Virajanath Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Thank you for a nice class, Prabhu. This Puruscharya Vidhi,
Hmm.
there were a few things mentioned, which is chanting, deity worship, offering, feeding brahmanas. My question was offering oblations and fire sacrifice.
Yeah.
How relevant is it for?
So these were so these were quoted from the Haribhakti Vilas, and our sacrifice every day. I mean, so our sacrifice is the sacrifice of chanting the holy name. That is what we do here. What is our oblations? Using the mantras which Srila Prabhupada has given, we offer Naivedya to the Supreme Lord. So we have the Yuga Dharma for our age, and we do it accordingly for us. So you see right from the beginning, whether you go for 4 rounds, 8 rounds, different levels, we tell devotees, start offering prasadam. Why? It is this Puruscharya that is being trained. And so I mean, that's how nicely Srila Prabhupada trained us, and the followers of Srila Prabhupada are training us. They are giving us Puruscharya methods on the path to Diksha. Right? They are so brilliant.
Am I allowed another one, Prabhu?
Huh.
So here you said Prabhupada gives us protection for those Kanishta Adhikaris
Yes.
who speak the Bhagavatam.
Yes, correct.
You also said we should not be a parrot.
We should not be a?
Parrot. We need
Yeah.
to repeat.
Yeah.
What is it which we have heard, and how do I make it relevant to the audience? So my question is, are we again giving a small chance for speculation?
There is always, yes, your question is right, that in connecting to the audience, are we speculating? Very much possible. It is a grave danger, and that is actually the preparation of the speaker before coming to the class. Not deep preparation, one of the significant preparations that a person has to do. Again and again question oneself, am I on track or not? And typically one has to present to a very good devotee audience too. And some nice devotees in the audience should gather and muster the courage to say, you said this, but I think the scriptures say this. What do you say about it? If you think it's really wrong, it can be after the class too. But that is the seva which the audience does. Why? Because we are all, in one sense, bandhus, going together on the path. We have to help each other. So the speaker has to be humble enough to know that maybe I'm not perfect, maybe I missed something. It's not that I have to hold on to my opinions. With that humility should be there in a speaker. Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Sonali Mataji behind.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class. I have two questions. So first one is, initial few minutes of the class you mentioned Vaishnava, one of the Vaishnavas will get attracted to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna or Lord Krishna. So how to identify whether it is a material attraction or not? So
Whether
if
it is a?
material attraction. So if I see a cute child, we will generally say it is a very sweet child. Or looking at a sweet dish will
Yes.
get attracted. So if that is a material attraction, and if at the same time if I am getting attracted to the deities, so whether that is also a material attraction.
Yeah.
So how to identify? This is the first question.
Okay. I'll go one by one rather than making you go to the next one. As long as I'm just taking particular examples. As long as one considers the deity to be something made of stone, it is material. That very same thing made of stone, metal, wood, etc. When one recognizes that a very nice devotee here or an acharya here in this case for our temple, His Holiness Jayapatak Maharaj, he invited the deities. He is a strong person devotionally. By his strength, Krishna would have come. Krishna is present. Let me interact with him that way. Then that same thing which is material becomes spiritual. It is dependent on our conception. Let me go one step further. You didn't ask for this, but for the benefit of the audience, let me go one step further. That very same internal energy of Krishna can be seen as Durga Devi in this material world or Srimati Radharani. When we go to the temple of a Durga Devi, we can pray to her as Srimati Radharani or as Durga Devi. It is up to us. The gopis of Vrindavan used to pray to Katyayani because for them, Katyayani is an expansion of Radharani, although she is Durga Devi. Right? So our intention, Yesha, the word that Maharaj used, is very important. But that doesn't mean that I can confuse anything with anything. That is also there. One should have a proper understanding of Tattva. That a barometer or a marker to say something is spiritual or material is